everyone. Welcome back to another one of our training videos. I am Jen Burris, and I'm the Executive Director for Restored for More, and I want to talk to us today about fluency. Our goal for today is first to define what fluency is, talk about why it's important and why we need to have a conversation about it, and then strategies that you can use right now with your students in order to improve their fluency. So let's start with what it is. Fluency is one of the 5 pillars of the science of reading. If you're not sure what the science of reading is, you can check out the video description and there'll be a link to another training that describes the science of reading. So fluency is the ability to read a text accurately, quickly, and with expression. Readers who have not quite developed fluency are going to read slower and they're going to read more word by word, and their oral reading is just going to sound choppy. So why is this important? Because as students begin to read, they should be improving their fluency. So first of all, fluent reading builds stamina. As students get older and enter higher grades, they're going to be expected to read longer and more complex texts. And so building their fluency and improving their fluency helps build that stamina. Also, reading fluency is a bridge between word recognition and comprehension. What do I mean by that? Here's the thing. The more fluent a reader is, the more they are going to be able to comprehend a text. Once students reach 3rd grade, they are shifting from learning to read to actually reading to learn. And so in order to learn in these upper elementary and middle school grades, they have to be fluent readers. If you take a look at this graphic, I think this describes the importance of fluency really well. Fluent readers do not have to concentrate as much on decoding the words, so they have more of their attention able to focus on the meaning of the texts. They're able to make connections, they're able to apply their background knowledge, they're able to ask questions because more of their attention is given to comprehension instead of word recognition. On the opposite side of that are our less fluent readers. They have to focus more of their attention on figuring out how to read the words, leaving very little attention for understanding the meaning of the text. And we want to help students, we want to empower students to become fluent readers so that they become empowered learners as they continue in school. If you want to know how to help improve a student's comprehension, you can also watch another training video I've done about reading comprehension that's linked in the video description. So now let's talk about strategies for how to improve fluency. First of all, in order to improve fluency, they have to actually practice reading texts. So there's a couple different strategies you can apply depending on the level of reader that your student is at. If you are working with more of a pre-reader, they're just beginning to learn how to read. The best way to improve fluency is by tutor modeling. In other words, you are reading text to them. And by doing that, you are modeling expression, you're modeling speed, you're modeling stopping at periods, putting question marks, you're modeling stopping and talking about the text, showing them that as you read, you should also be comprehending and learning about what you're reading. And then if you apply that strategy because your student is more of a pre-reader, please follow along with your finger because it also helps the student build that understanding that they need to track words across the page. If you're working with an emerging reader, meaning they are able to read some words, maybe basic CVC words, they're learning how to read digraphs like CH and TH and those kinds of phonic principles, then I recommend you using one of the next 2 strategies, echo reading and then partner reading. They're very similar, but the difference is in echo reading, you are reading a line of a text and then you have the student read the same line of the text. The National Reading Panel actually says that this is one of the most powerful ways to improve reading fluency, reading the same material over and over again. It builds accuracy of reading, but it also helps students build expression. In partner reading, you take turns reading. So you might read a sentence, then they read a sentence, or you read a page and they read a page. And again, that's more for your developing readers or your readers that are a little bit further along, but do need some support so that their reading isn't so choppy. And then finally, we have choral reading, which is you guys actually reading it together. And again, it's helping develop that fluency. Now, if you are applying these strategies with your student, the echo reading, the partner reading, the choral reading, anytime a student is engaging with the text, you do want to provide pretty immediate feedback and have them read the word or sentence again. If you're having to stop too many times, most likely that text is a little bit too difficult and you need to pull it back a level. You should really only be stopping a couple times per page if needed. But if you are reading the right text for their instructional level, You do want to provide that immediate feedback, have them read the word or sentence again in order to build that fluency. And then finally, you want to make sure that you celebrate every single small win. Students want to feel successful. They want to see that their reading is improving. And so the way to do that is actually to give a quick, simple assessment, a words read per minute assessment. You have the students read a grade level text, you set a timer for 1 minute, and you mark how many words they read correctly in that 1 minute out of words attempted. And then give the same passage or a similar one a few months later and show the student that they are improving. We call that progress monitoring, and it makes them feel confident and helps them see growth. We all need to see those milestones. And so doing that often with your students is helpful. You might even consider having like a sticker chart or a graph that shows, in October, I was reading at this words per minute, but then in January, I was reading here. And then in March, I was reading here, just to help them see that they are indeed growing. And just as a reminder, here at Restored for More, we believe that all students can and want to learn how to read. And with the proper support and the encouragement of a tutor who is also a mentor, we believe that they can read. Thank you so much for all you're doing, and we will see you on the next training video.